Facial features like eyes, nose, and mouth are important to get the character of a person's face. But sometimes makeup is a big thing. If it's a cosmetic ad, makeup becomes the focal point. Now, the makeup on certain people in my scene here is based on the makeup that they were wearing. Like Carla here has got this slight little eyeshadow going on, whereas my daughter has no eye makeup. There's my daughter Erica, she has no makeup on. So what we're going to do is put some makeup on her. Now, I'm not going to say I'm a beautician, but I'm going to show you how they should be applied. So I'm going to go in here and have the file of just her face here. And what we're going to do is put a little eyeliner on, and we're going to put a little eyeshadow on. So let's go in there and do those. So I'm going to go in here and create a layer right on top of her face. This is the finished face. I'm going to call this the eyeliner. So the eyeliner, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a dark color here. Let's just pick a deep gray. And I'm going to take a paintbrush, and I'm going to very lightly just paint right over this area in here. Just going to very lightly paint into this area right in there, and let's get it just right. And we're just going to go in there and just add a little eyeliner right into this area. So I'm just going in there and just adding a little tone right into there for that little eyeliner area right in there. So now, I'm going to set that into multiply mode so it just becomes a little darker tone. Now I can erase or soften it up, but that's going to be good enough. Let's make it a little smaller and just add a little more right into this area here and into this area there. And maybe a little line right along the bottom here. Now I'm going to soften my brush a little more. It's pretty soft, yeah. So what we're going to do is bring down the opacity a bit. And I have it set right now to a transfer mode. Let's take that transfer mode off. So I can just draw right into here, and we'll make it even smaller. And just kind of draw a little line right through here. Now we can play with this line. Once it's done, we can go in there with our smudge tool, make it real small, and just kind of push that around until we have it exactly the way we want it. So we just kind of push it into place just the way we want. And then we have the little eyeliner that's been applied. Okay. Now we're going to add a little shadow to it. So in another layer, and we'll call this one the eyeshadow. Now I'm going to pick a color that's going to be good for this evening look. And of course, I'm only doing one eye. I didn't do the other one. When you do yours, you'll do both eyes. So I'm going to pick kind of a nice purplish type of color right here. So I get my paintbrush tool, and I've got the color that I want to choose here. And let's make it much bigger. Really big here. Nice big brush. And we got the opacity brought down. Let's bring the opacity back up. Doesn't matter because we're going to play with this afterwards. So I'm just going to add a smudge of color right in there like that. Whoa, that's pretty intense. But that's okay because we're now going to manipulate this so that it starts to look the way we want it to be. So there's that eyeshadow. I'm going to bring the mode to a different mode. We can try a few different modes like multiply. We can even try screen. And we could try maybe a little overlay. And overlay might be the right color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the opacity a bit. So it's just this little hint of the tone right in there. And I'm going to give that a mask. So now it has a mask. And the mask is where we're going to start to give it some shape. So I'm going to go in there and in the mask with black hides, I'm going to start to go in there and start to shape this eyeshadow. So I'm going to bring down the opacity a bit so I have a little more control. So it's not erasing it completely. So there you can see where I'm starting to soften up that edge right there. I'm going to make the brush smaller. I'm going to just protect the eyebrow. So I'm going to hide it into that area of the eyebrow as well as the eye. I don't want it in any of this parts of the eye right there. So let's just get rid of it right in that whole area there. And then we make the brush bigger and we just soften this side just a little bit, just so we start getting that little tone in there. Now, going back to the actual layer, before I was in the mask, now I'm in the layer. I'm going to go in there and darken certain parts. So I'm going to take my burn tool, and I got it set here to midtones. I'm going to just kind of darken some of these tones right in here to start to give the eye a little more shape. So you can see where I'm starting to give these dark areas right up in here a little more tone right in there like that. And there you can see that I start to add a little more of this little makeup on her eye. So it might be a little tacky, but like I said, I'm not a beautician. But there you see where I've gone in there and added some tones for the liner and then added some color for the eyeshadow. Now, if you don't like that color and once it's applied, it's no problem because I'm in there. I can come over here to one of the adjustments, like say hue saturation, and I can say colorize it. Let's punch up the saturation a bit and I can find a different tone that I want. So we're going to these blues here or going to these deeper reds. And if I find a particular color that I want, let's say we want to go into these darker tones here, I can punch up the saturation some more. And there you can see we're starting to get those particular tones. I can darken them And I can lighten them as well. Whoa, very light. So I can go in there and start to play with all these different tones until I have exactly the tone that I want for this particular look. Right in there like that. There. And now remember that this is a mask. So if there's areas that I want to bring back, I can click on the mask and I say use white. And I can start to paint in there, and you can see that the tones are coming back into that area so that I can get more of the eyeshadow happening. And now she's ready for Mardi Gras.